Do you believe what the masses are saying? Yeah, that's right. I'm diving right in with an open question because I'm actually probably going to convert this into an actual fucking video. Like, slice it out of the, like, realm of stream archives and put it on the main channel and see if people actually watch it. Because the streets are talking. And the streets are saying that tomorrow is the day something big is getting announced. I don't know why I'm leading in like this. This is such a dumb way of leading in, but I guarantee you people are gonna love it. Yeah, so, there's a new quest on Discord today that was like, hey, if you play 15 minutes of World of Warcraft, we'll give you an item in WoW. And I was like, I'm the kind of person who will still turn on Joanna, rest in pieces, stream when they do Twitch drops for just watching WoW and just leave that running for 4 hours. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'll go sit on the title screen without a subscription. Just to satisfy you, Discord. I'll do it. And so I did it. I mean, sure. What are the odds that I ever actually use this, what was it called? Fucking Blue Bakery backpack or whatever? The odds are probably pretty low, but they're not zero anymore. I met someone late last year who has increased my odds of ever playing WoW again from 0 to low. Girls be like that. But yeah, there was another thing on there as well. That tomorrow, they are doing a special broadcast to run through, I guess, you know, FF14 did this too, but they usually do it after expansions drop. They'll do, like, a special live letter that's just dedicated to, like, okay, here's our roadmap for the expansion to come. And they're like, you know, in point 1 we're gonna add, you know, the Alliance raid we've been talking about, and, you know, that's kind of it. Point 2, you know, it's like, alright, here's, you know, the next phase of the main 8-man raid, you know, here's where we're gonna add, you know, this outdoor zone and all this, and blah, blah, blah. Point 5 is, you know, Blue Mage update, Beastmaster. I assume that's what they're basically doing, is they're just gonna kind of sit down and basically just put out a roadmap. They're like, you know, March their new expansion launches. Probably in, like, April or May will be their first, like, medium-sized content update, and they'll be like, you know, here's what's coming in, fuck, what is it, like 12.0.5 now? It would be 7, 8, I don't know what the numbering scheme is anymore. You can tell I haven't actually played WoW since they switched off their old content release system, because I don't know what is their numbering scheme for big patches. I don't know. I know 14's is always like XO, X3, and X5. Like, I think just this week, 7.4.3 launched. And then they'll have one more update coming out probably in another couple of months that is 7.4.5. And then you'll get 7.5, and so on and so forth. I don't know how that works for WoW, but that's a complete tangent. I'm trying not to over-tangent. Get to the point. What's the point? Well, the point is, like I said, the streets are talking. And the streets are saying, because they're not just talking about their roadmap for modern WoW, they're also talking their roadmap for classic WoW. And you, like me, and like the streets, are probably sitting here asking yourself, why do we need a roadmap for classic? Burning Crusade just launched its pre-patch, I guess, a couple weeks ago. And the actual Burning Crusade Anniversary Classic is launching in another couple weeks. So wait a minute. Why do we need a roadmap? Now, I still have Battle.net up here just because I wanted to check something. Where is Mists at right now? Yeah, okay. Mists just entered the Thunder King. Like, odds are they're going to do Warlords of Draenor Classic. I know nobody wants to hear that, but I suspect they're going to announce Warlords of Draenor Classic. Down a notch. It's a bit loud. Like, that's... You're just gonna have to live with the fact that they are going to devote minutes to being like, would you like to play Warlords of Draenor again? And you're gonna have to look them in the eye and say, no. But the bigger thing is, even then, why devote an entire live stream to a mid-sized content update and Warlords of Draenor Classic? Wouldn't you devote an entire live stream to announcing something new? And this is where we get to, honestly, just kind of answering a question of what happened to WoW on this stream. You know, a year ago, we were doing, you know, fairly consistent Wednesdays would be, you know, hopping on to a certain WoW server that I will not name currently, and playing with that. Well, where it went is Blizzard started suing everybody who wasn't themselves out of existence. Similar to something they did right in the lead up to the announcement of Classic. Way back in what, like 2017 now? You start to put all the puzzle pieces together. It's like they're closing down servers of a specific flavor. They're doing an entire live stream about, you know, the future of WoW. There's nothing really to announce, but they're still doing a live stream. You start to put the pieces together and realize, is it time? It's time for Classic Plus. And that is when something very interesting happened. Like, if that was the entirety of this discussion, this would be a randomizer stream today. But that's not where the adventure ended. For a couple days ago, a not necessarily mysterious, but certainly unusual site kind of popped up. Getting promoted by various, you know, WoW news sites, kind of out of the blue. A bunch of WoW classic content creators got together and made a website. A website dedicated to a specific question. What does the player base want in Classic Plus? Now, I'm not going to sit here and be, you know, the conspiracy theorist. But the timing is very interesting. That this popped up maybe like 3 days before the event that everybody thinks is going to announce an official Classic Plus server. I'm not saying that this was done with insider knowledge and with the blessing of the Blizzard devs. But I'm also not going to say that these results won't be shared with Blizzard in an official capacity. After all, Old School RuneScape does a very similar thing of asking the community for input on new features. Things that are essentially plus. In Old School RuneScape, you know, it's based on kind of that divergence point that was the graphical and combat overhaul that is known as RS3. Old School RuneScape is based on the game right before that split. Still with the older, not truly classic graphics, If you want truly classic graphics, there's 2004 Scape and I think 2007 Scape? 8 Scape? Hold on. I have this here. 2009 Scape. Sorry. I was slightly off. But yeah, if you want truly classic, there's that. But anything that they add to old school RuneScape, anything that further pushes its divergence away from that diverging point into essentially a separate version of the game, is generally put up for a player vote. And the players can say, yes, we want that change, or no, we don't want that change. Very similar in concept to what is going on here with the Classic Plus project. Maybe not officially conducted by Blizzard, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are devs at Blizzard that are looking at the results of this project very closely. And if this survey, which, by the way, I have done the whole survey, was the end of the story, again, this would be a randomizer stream, because unfortunately the community results aren't available yet. Again, a little suspicious that the community results are still not available. Like they're waiting for another shoe to drop or something. Like, I don't know, insider knowledge about what's going to be announced tomorrow that will drive a metric shit ton of traffic to the site? I mean, not saying that Blizzard's looking at the results there, but, you know, again, you start to put the pieces together. But no, we're here for another thing. Exploring content. This is not just a survey. This is also a suggestion board. Let's actually see if we can make this kind of fit a little nicer. The answer is no, but I will regret doing this later. There. So, not only can you take surveys, but players can make suggestions about things that they want to see changed or added or removed in a Classic Plus version of the game. And therein lies the fun. I think, since the iron is at its absolute hottest today, like this iron is basically at its white hottest. Everybody is asking, you know, is Classic Plus tomorrow? Well, not launching tomorrow, but being announced tomorrow. And what would it look like? I think it's a good idea for us to kind of go through this suggestion board, which I have gone through before, but just kind of worm our way through it and just kind of get a sense of what kind of the player's zeitgeist is on this stuff. Like, definitely I think the survey is the meat of it, but they're not releasing the survey results for some reason, so instead, kind of look through this. I've seen that these generally have... Nothing's really exceeded 1,000 votes yet. So it is definitely a smaller sample size right now. But I do think it's interesting what ideas are kind of bubbling to the top, and what ones are kind of, well, getting downvoted into fucking oblivion. Because I've seen some interesting thoughts. There are some people who would love to see the game be taken in a wildly different direction. And I think that's still interesting. Also, okay, I was looking at the world map there. I was like, is that the Cataclysm world map? Oh, my mouse doesn't show up. That little, like, water inlet on southern counter. I was like, is that Thousand Needles? No, that's Dustwallow Marsh. But yeah, let's just kind of take a journey through the player's zeitgeist, huh? Let's start with the systems of the game. This one should be... Like, I think kind of we'll work from systems to players to world map. Because I think the world map is where kind of the meat of this discussion is. Like, I think systems is very much like... it's, you know... It's Care Bear Funland, you know? There's nothing too meaty here. Like... When it comes to the systems, it's really a lot of just don't touch what isn't broken. Note that professions aren't here. Note that races aren't here. Note that classes aren't here. All that stuff that's really meaty, all that stuff about, you know, new dungeons, new raids, new zones, all that's in the other two categories. This is a nice, easy, fun place to start. It's also very nicely themed. See, yeah, like, we're talking, like, 839 up, 83 down votes, so... You're talking, like, on the high end... Like, low 900s? In this category. Like, if you're looking at this stuff, you're, like, so deep in the weeds that... Yeah, have fun. By the way, remember I said stuff getting downvoted into oblivion? 47 up, 371 down. Yeah, this isn't a place where it's like everybody wants everything, and that's good. Like, this lets people, like... I like this idea. If this is something that Blizzard, like, kind of gave their blessing to and was like, yeah, we're going to keep an eye on these results to see what players want in the future, then good. Because bad ideas can be freely shouted to the world, and then everyone can say, that's stupid, don't suggest things ever again. Which is good, because it helps to break through that kind of, well, I want it, so clearly everybody else wants it. It's very good. I love that. But yeah, let's kind of, you know, let's get going. Otherwise, we're going to be here forever. That's our rundown of, like, how we got here. Let's talk about what people want to see, and I guess kind of give my thoughts as well. Alright, so first up, a collections inventory. You can see I have already voted on a number of these, so you are going to see some pre-votes here. This basically is saying, you know, bring the collection system in from current WoW, which is just a whole separate window that stores your mounts, it stores your companions, it stores your toys, it stores your transmog appearances, but... I don't even know if transmog is in here. Well, it's in here in a bunch of places, but they're all kind of downvoted into oblivion. Look, a brand new one. 0 up, 0 down. Yeah, I think, you know, that's super easy. Achievements and titles being available from day one, I think that makes a ton of sense as well. I'm just going to kind of lump these three in here together, because they're all kind of the same thing. I don't like this thought here, NPCs addressing you by your title. Titles are rare, soulbound cosmetics. What are you... Of course they are. They always have been. But yeah, like, I think these are two things that make incredibly easy sense together. Like, a big thing you're going to see people comment on a lot here is the idea of horizontal progression. The idea of, just because we're adding more things to the game, those things shouldn't be essentially... Suddenly now, if in the future they ever decided to, like, do Burning Crusade Plus, suddenly now, like, you walk into Burning Crusade and things are dealing millions of damage. It shouldn't be like that. Which means, over time, you need a lot of horizontal progression, because there's only so many... You basically kind of have to constrain yourself to kind of like a Tier 1 through Tier 4. Because going beyond, like, a Tier 4 in Classic is getting into way too much power creep. And yeah, kind of systems that allow you to have more pets, more mounts, more titles, The achievement system, those are easy ways of getting players things that they would want to play the game for that aren't necessarily, like, 100 more intellect on their staff. So I definitely like them both. This, I feel like this person has the right idea, but the way they worded it is very poor. So I'm actually gonna... Like, I think their idea is good, but I'm gonna downvote them for their wording. You're gonna see this happen a fair bit, I think. Jump puzzles. This is one of those things... Some people have some very weird suggestions where it's like, this is definitely something only, like, you and a handful of friends actually care about. Like, I think the idea of leaning into, like, how people would always kind of, like, jump creatively against walls and stuff to move around is, I think, cool. But is it something that I think, like, you need recognition for it? Like, a title for being able to jump to the top of Orgrimmar? No. I think that's one of those things where the community kind of creates their own reward for it. You get that screenshot of your character, you know, in the Ironforge airport, or on top of Orgrimmar, or behind the old unused housing portal in Stormwind. Like, those pictures are in and of themselves kind of your reward. They're a thing that, you know, you share amongst the community, and it's like, look at this cool thing I did. And folks are like, that's cool. Like, you can have some things that are still kind of... I think the term is, like, emergent gameplay. You can have things that are emergent. You don't need, like, a reward system for jump puzzles. And I don't think you necessarily even need, like, official support for jumping puzzles. You know? Like, FF14 has jumping puzzles. They're fun. They also don't give you an inherent reward for doing them. Your reward is that, you know, you climb that one in the firmament and you get to pose like you're the fucking dragoon on the, you know, city weather vane post at in the Heavensward trailer. And you just get to be fucking cool. Sometimes the reward can just be fucking cool. Alright, so what is this fucking thing here? Make transmog opt-in/toggleable. It's a divisive topic. Some players love it for the ability to add a level of artistic expression to your character. Hi, that's me. I actually think transmog should be added to Classic. I think maybe it's something that you should only unlock once you reach max level, just to kind of keep some of that clown outfit the Classic is known for, but I think once you hit max level, there's no reason not to have, you know, character expression. It's like they always say in FF14, glamour is the real endgame. And I think you can make a lot of content out of people going around and trying to collect outfits, even in Classic. Especially in Classic, because some Classic gear looks absolutely ridiculous. I'm sure it means a lot of people will just stand around in full tier sets, but guess what? People already stand around in full tier sets, so really, what fucking changed? If you're a person who just wants to stand around in a tier set, then don't interact with transmog. Like, I feel like in Classic, a lot of people drag out same old debunked arguments about, like, character cosmetic gear. Well, but how am I going to know if that person I'm fighting is, you know, a noob with, you know, all blue gear or a badass player in Grand Marshal gear if I can't see it at a glance? Well, here's my question for you. How has WoW been handling that the entire fucking time it's had transmog? Pretty well, honestly. Like, it's always the argument of, but my PvP visibility. And if that's the issue, then just turn it off in PvP. But I think Retail WoW has shown transmog doesn't negatively impact the PvP environment. It just doesn't. Let's see what this person suggests here. In the RuneScape 2026 roadmap, Jagex announced they will be providing an option to disable other players' cosmetic visuals in RS3. When enabled, you'll see people's equipped gear rather than cosmetic overrides. Yeah, I don't like that. I think if transmog is such a big problem, just disable it in PvP. At that point, just disable it in PvP. Okay, what is this about achievements for the lore? Achievements should be included. Alright, I agree. Perfect way to progress your character, not just by getting latest and hottest gear, but by traveling the world, exploring, questing, and experiencing things the game has to offer. Fair. I just describe that as it creates content. Especially since we hope Classic Plus will be around for a long time. Yeah. Like, a certain other server that cannot be named has been around for 8 years without a refresh, without a restart. I think it's fair to say a Blizzard Classic Plus should be expected to be around for probably at least 2 years without any kind of refresh or new expansion. And realistically should be expected to be supported for, you know, at least a decade. The rewards should not improve gameplay. Yeah, I agree. I don't want power upgrades being locked behind achievements. Cosmetics like titles, tabards, again, you know, mounts, pets, yeah, this all makes sense. Encourage people to get to know the world they're spending time in. It doesn't be rushing to max level just to get raid locked with 3 characters. Fair. I feel like their description buries a lead here. None of this talks about achievements for the lore. I was expecting to have a segue here into, like, the achievements should all be, like, lore-based things, like, kill 500 satyrs or something. And I was gonna be like, no, achievements should be an out-of-character thing, not an in-character thing. But they don't ever seem to make that segue other than that one line about, like... it was in here somewhere. By simply implementing the achievement system, you can encourage people to get to know the world they are spending their time in. Like, this feels like somebody buried a lead. Explains why it's not super downvoted, but definitely controversial, I think. Guild achievements, including perk points. Okay, now we're getting into some real spicy stuff here. I'm gonna start skipping over some of these lower ones, too. So yeah, they want reimagined guild leveling system, which they took out of Retail WoW because it sucked, by the way, just a reminder. They want things like reduced cooldown in the Hearthstone, increased mounted speed, increased movement speed while dead, increasing the duration of buffs from consuming Season of Discovery style cauldrons, whatever that means. Since this increases quantity of materials... Okay, no. What this runs into, this runs into the same reason guild perks were killed in Retail WoW. They became too good and too powerful, and essentially, what started happening is you had guilds that would go out and specifically recruit people based on the fact that, hi, we have the free second Hearthstone. You'd literally just you'd essentially just sit in the city, you just have like an add-on that would every like 30 minutes refresh the who list for anybody who was ungilded, and then just mass send them all invites. You still see this happen now and again. At least you did last time. Even when I was playing Classic near the end of my, like, WoW playing time before, you know, the allegations. You'd see, you know, if you sit in somewhere and just suddenly you get an invite out of nowhere. Happens in 14, too. Just get an invite out of nowhere. It's like, sometimes, you know, like 10 seconds later, a whisper will come through, being like, "Hi, join our leveling guild. We're really friendly, and we want to start raiding." These are always, by the way, the most toxic guilds you will ever see. Because when you're recruiting just from the general population pool, essentially, you create a guild that matches the general population pool. Which is to say, you just created Trade Chat the guild. And, like, it used to be that you felt severe pressure to join those kinds of guilds, even if you didn't want to be in a guild, just because they gave you perks. It was such a good idea to remove it. Like, never bring that back. So yeah, support hardcore mode, blah, blah, blah. Support hardcore mode, absolutely. A die system would require way too much work. Dungeon Raid Journal, I don't think is necessarily that important. But I do also feel like, you know, if there's anything important, people are just looking it up on Wowhead anyway. So why not just put that information right in game? In my WoW playing career, I never read the Dungeon Journal. Other than to, like, look at what gear a boss drops. Yeah, so this is the person who's like, you should only be able to transmog into tier sets. Why have a transmog system? I have no strong feelings on this. Yeah, so once we start getting real deep down here, like, this is all just, like, transmog chatter. Like, one person's saying, make attunements guild-wide. No. Again, it's like, it's all just, you know, add cosmetics. Add, you know, like, yeah. As we start getting further down, we start just getting into kind of like a lot of groupthink thoughts here that nobody's, like, really gonna upvote. That's why I'm like, now's a good time to kind of go through this, because we're starting to reach the point where I think kind of the core thoughts have kind of formed in the zeitgeist. And now essentially new stuff that's being put out are kind of either real oddball stuff like the ability to create your own tabard. I mean, I guess. Nothing wrong with that. It's like either stuff that's very oddball or stuff that's just a, like, 5% permutation on something that's very popular up here. So yeah. Economy. Make mail instant to all characters on the same account. That I like. Shared nodes that essentially stick around for a bit before despawning. I like that. Everybody's had that moment where you're like, I see a node. And then you get there, and you literally watch somebody start tapping it. And it's like, you share this stare at each other for like a moment before you're like, oh man, you just kind of leave. Secondary professions get incentives. It's on the secondaries, so everybody gets access to it, but then it makes those secondaries incredibly mandatory, so I think I gotta say no. You would be amazed how many people want gathering professions turned into secondary professions. Secondary meaning you can have an unlimited number of them. Meaning that you as a player can now have mining, herbalism, fishing, first aid, cooking, engineering, and enchanting all on the same character. I think this is awful. This is a terrible idea that is only proposed by people who chose 2 crafting professions and then were mad at max level that the price of Black Lotus is too high. If you chose 2 crafting professions, you signed up for the experience of having to pay a lot of money for your resources. Deal with it. Okay. Here's where we get into one of our first big nonsense ideas. I think this person has some stuff on the world map as well pertaining to this system. The, quote, dynamic trade caravan system. Which immediately to me sounds like you have just described Arcage. And I liked Arcage, to be clear. But let's see if this is actually a good interpretation of Arcage, or if it would be just toxic bullshit. Alright, overview. New dynamic event system designed to revitalize world PvP and the in-game economy. Players or guilds can escort caravans transporting resources between towns and capital cities, or undertake dangerous cross-continental expeditions. This creates moving and valuable objectives for the opposing faction to intercept. Core mechanics. Tiered routes. The inner-city supply lines are shorter, land-based routes between zones, example from Darkshire to Stormwind or the Crossroads to Orgrimmar, perfect for smaller groups or leveling players. So immediately this sounds... This is Arcage. This is making a delivery in Arcage. The only thing this is missing is the player crafting element. This sounds like you go talk to an NPC and you're like, "Hi, I'd like to escort a caravan, please." And then a caravan just spawns and you escort it. In Arcage, how this would work is you would have to buy land, gather resources, build essentially a home to place crafting materials in, where you would then craft said materials together to create a trade good. Then this trade good you would put on your back, and you would go. You would either walk, which, if I recall, trade goods restricted you to exclusively walking speed. Yep, walking. You would walk to the you'd be like, "Alright, what cities are accepting deliveries of this item right now? Ah, this one. I'll go there." And you just mark it on your map, put it on your back, and you would literally walk to your destination. Or, you could get on a mount, which isn't speed restricted. You could have a carriage, which you could then load up with lots of trade goods. Now you're really making money. Or, if you wanted to be the riskiest biscuit on the planet, build yourself a boat and sail that trade good to the other continent. Because the farther away you went from where your house was located, the more money you got. But be careful, because other players could freely attack you if you were carrying a trade good, kill you, and take that trade good for themselves and complete your delivery. Sounds really fun. It was one of the most identifiable things about Arcage. That and also the theft system and the ability to turn into a pirate. Which, get ready to hear the word pirate a lot. You would be amazed how much the Classic Plus community is obsessed with pirates. But we'll get to that. Anyway, cross-continental expeditions. High risk, high reward that require traveling between continents, involving boat or zeppelin defense. A supply and demand economy, cities have dynamic material needs. Completing requests grants rewards based on the distance and the danger. Yeah. Okay. This is literally just Arcage. This is just Arcage. Caravan is a physical entity that moves through the world and requires active player protection to progress. That's where it loses the Arcage. This is an NPC caravan, not a player caravan. PvP, risk versus reward, as caravan enters a contested zone and becomes a target. Defenders earn gold, reputation, and regional supplies upon safe delivery. Attackers can loot the resources to gain honor. And it's an activity that encourages max-level players to visit low-level zones to protect or hunt caravans, keeping the entire world alive. This is a person who very clearly thought through this idea a ton. Like, they have put so much effort into making this concept exist in their head that a part of me wants to reward them for it. But the other part of me played ArcAge and knows, for as cool as the ArcAge like trade goods system seems on paper, it essentially is a nightmare of folks engaging in toxic gameplay. Oop, ads in 5. From high-level play, like, you talk about having, like, short supply lines from, like, Crossroads to Orgrimmar. But what is stopping a party of level 60 characters from just kind of camping that supply route? Sure. Like, in ArcAge, you had options for kind of dynamically playing around other players. Like, if there was, you know, Bald-Bearded the Pirate, who everybody on the server knows, whenever he's online, you know, he's patrolling this particular part of the sea, and he'll fire on anybody with a trade good. Well, just go around it. If he's patrolling, let's say, the northwest part of the ocean, you know, travel south. It'll take longer, but you'll avoid the dangerous player. If you are on a land route, and, you know, Brigand Bob, like, he watches the, like, main road that travels between these two valuable zones, well, use a different access point then. Travel up through the mountains, or there's a cave you can go through. When players have control over the way in which they travel, you can do things like that. It creates kind of an emergent sort of gameplay. Main roads might become no longer the main road because they're just too dangerous to travel. And that's cool. But in reality, what tends to happen is just, you know, Brigand Bob and Baldbeard the Pirate, they're in the same guild together. That guild has like 200 players. You know, there's probably a famous streamer in there that his whole community's involved as well. And essentially, you know, all those little, you know, stream reviewers are running around the world being like, hey, where are they? I'm gonna find them. Oh, there's a person. Hey, streamer! They're over there! And then, you know, they just go blow them up. That's what in reality happens. And in this WoW version, you don't have control over movement. You can't even pretend to avoid, you know, Brigand Bob or Baldbeard the Pirate. They know the route. They probably would have an add-on that literally pastes every single caravan route on there. And they're like, this one. Because players who are doing the tutorial quest are going to always do the one from Crossroads to Orgrimmar, because that's the tutorial quest one they have to complete. So I'm just going to sit right here and blow them up every time they come through. Like, this is a very cool idea, but the amount of, like, edge case paper, the amount of, like, edge case spackling and active moderation of bad actors you would need is so great to prevent it from becoming just an absolute toxic waste dump that as much as I love the idea, it would never work in an MMO. ArcAge tried it. Ask the people who are currently playing ArcAge how well this worked. The silence is your answer. Alright, it's a little early, but I'm actually going to fire off the ads right now and get a little water. So, BRB. Alright, I'm back. I just saw the time. We're gonna rapid fire through some of these quick. So it's supposed to be easy mode, and I think I'm putting a little too much thought into it. So yeah, Black Lotus, more Black Lotus spawns. Always good. A dedicated slot for a gathering profession. That's a little bit better. You can still only pick one now. But, you know what? I'm gonna do it. One I can live with. If we have to do something, I do one. Limits on gold transactions. I actually don't dislike this. As long as they set that threshold high enough that an average player isn't running into it, that's fine. Factious Auction House I like. Alright. When the ads are done, we'll start running through itemization here. We're gonna start rapid firing these. I want to get into the fun stuff here. That's more of the leather my headphones are shedding. Alright. Yeah, we're gonna just start going now. There's 10 seconds left. Keep gear from old raids relevant. This is another very popular one. People love the idea of, well, I got this item from Molten Core, and I should be permitted to use it still in Nax rounds. And I think those people are stupid. The gear treadmill, whether you want it to be or not, is a critical part of any MMO. If you can get this gear by just running the easiest dungeon, you'll never guess what everyone is going to do. They're going to run the easiest dungeon. If you want raids beyond like that first tier to be relevant, then then that gear in the earlier tiers has to be eventually replaced. Even if it's just one slot that stays relevant per raid, eventually you can piece together a whole set by just getting those one items. Profession should be relevant throughout the whole game. Yes. Spec-specific tier sets. God, yes. That would fix so many problems in Classic. Like, a big part of the problems in Classic was, you know, every class had a tier set instead of every spec, meaning if you weren't the chosen favorite spec, fuck you. And the chosen favorite spec was always healer. Stack size adjustments. Yeah, fine. More crossover between professions. I don't think so. I think that's one of those things that makes a lot of sense in, like, a survival kind of game, like a Arc Age or a New World. I don't think it makes sense in a game like WoW. Like, I don't want to have to go contact 3 friends in order to make an item. Like, WoW is not the kind of crafting first game, like an Eco or something, where I think that works. Make all content always relevant. Again, no, because then if the gear in Molten Core is a BIS option forever, the people will only ever run Molten Core because it's easier. Okay, I just read Balanced Druid wants to stack armor, and I'm immediately downvoting it. This is the dumbest idea I've ever seen. Casters all want the same gear. Bitch! In FF14, all casters literally have the same gear. It's just called casting gear. Itemization shouldn't be hyper-optimized because it leads to item level being the only metric that matters. It's Charmin wearing gear with a bit of a mismatch of stats, mostly at lower levels. Everything is perfectly itemized. There will always be a BIS setup, and everything else is vendor trash. In short, a bit of scuffed itemization. I actually kind of agree. I think a little bit of jank is what gives classic WoW characters kind of their funniness, their fuzziness, their oddness. I think if you really want, you know, if you want characters that stand out and feel different from each other, there has to be some wiggle room. There has to be, you know, yeah, I'm a warlock, but I have a ton of spirit. Just because that's what kind of happened. And spirit's still useful. Or like, I'm a warlock with a ton of stamina. Like, a little bit of funny fuzziness around the edges is good. Over-optimization gets into the same problem as making, you know, raid gear BIS forever. Is that it turns everything into just run the easiest possible content. If it is hard content, you want to avoid it like the plague. And once that starts happening, the game is going to very quickly start to feel like how retail WoW felt at its lowest points. Where it's like, and where I feel like, I can be honest, FF14 kind of feels like it's in that problem right now. Where it's like, you log in, you do that one thing that rewards the one thing that you want, the one thing that's good, the one thing you need, and if it doesn't drop, just log off and go play a different game for the rest of the day. Because why would you fucking sit there and grind an unfun piece of content? An unfun... Yeah, just an unfun piece of content. I was gonna say unfun brain dead, but no, there's some hard content in 14. So I'm gonna kind of like, just kind of breeze over like the greens here. Like, yeah, more rare drops, always good. Again, 1 tier per spec. Or 1 tier set for each spec. Again, very good. Niche gear being useful. That's kind of like, you know, the fire resist cloaks, you know? More stuff like that that players have to go looking for. Don't implement armor specialization. That's basically saying, you know, if you're a paladin and you're wearing cloth, you're in fear, you're doing it wrong. Some of this stuff is like, this is removed reforging for a reason here. Like, why are we trying to bring it back? Alright, optional leveling challenges. This is absolutely like, I don't want this to just turn into Blizzard-made Turtle WoW or Blizzard-made Project APOC, but this is a good one. Gain gradually faster EXP on ults. This is apparently, I've been told, a system that WoW has now. So that's cool. I like that. When you kill a level 45 mob, more often than not, it's because I am level 45. Therefore, I am so disappointed when I get a green drop that is level 32. Yeah. TC level speed? No. Don't speed it up. Increase quest EXP to fix dungeon farming meta. I don't think dungeon farming meta needs to be fixed. Listen, if you're a player who's farming exclusively dungeons because they're faster, nothing is going to fix you. I'm just gonna be honest here, buddy. You can't be fixed. You're eternally broken. Things that you can't turn into... I think I like this. So if an NPC is, like, doing a little role play, you can't turn stuff into them. I think that's a good idea to allow them to still take quest turn-ins or give out quests. But with the obvious caveat that, you know, if roleplay is required for, like, the quest turn-in, you can't turn it in until they're done with their current roleplay. If it's required. If it's just for fun, fluff, whatever. Yeah, I mean, focus on leveling, absolutely. I think Blizzard Classic WoW will, or Blizzard Classic Plus will fail if it is exclusively focused on adding level 60 zones and level 60 dungeons. I think it will fail if it even focuses on specifically 50 plus. If all the new content is for players that are level 50 plus, then it has failed. It needs to have content for lower level players. That's what gets players coming in, making new alts. It's what creates that churn of players in, like, the bottom 10, bottom 20, bottom 40 levels. That churn of players that keeps the game from feeling like it's become stagnant and impossible to find groups for. Because once that feeling sets in, then players go, is it too late for me to start playing? And everybody looks at them and goes, yes, just wait for fresh. Reps during level phase. I love Tranquillian, so sure. Group leveling is punishing? I don't really know about that. I think it's fine. More long multi-zone quest chains. Fuck yeah! No quest log limit. I also very much love that. Long quest... Yeah, again, long quest chains rewards. Yep, good. Shared tag for named quest mobs. Yes! Hardcore mode, absolutely. Let's see what some of the bad ideas are. Leveling with PvP. I don't think that's that bad, honestly. Opt out of leveling speed increases. Yes. Heroic World Tier. Yeah. There's a lot of talk about that. Softcore challenge mode. Current level EXP resets to 0. I don't like that all level EXP is dropped. Like, there's a concept here. Feels very RuneScape-y. Except for this part. Like, if this were like you lose 10% of a level and could... Well, I guess you can't really de-level. But yeah, if you lost like 10% of a level or something, I think that'd be fine. I'm download it. Oh, major questing overhaul. Hold on. It's just making everything guaranteed drops. No. Move the buff and debuff cap. Yep. Multiple heals over time. Yep. A lot of this stuff is just kind of fixing things that are essentially kind of bugs. Like, change up combo points, remove spell batching, make heals over time work like they do in retail. You know, remove the buff and debuff caps. Put the raid buffs in every city. Players can't enter combat with a critter without dealing damage. That's a funny bug. Reduce eating and drinking time. No. Clue skulls and treasure hunts. No. Man, it says a lot that we're at the point where the top request here is now adding in the dungeon and raid finder. I remember when, like... I remember back in Classic, I would say that, you know, they need to add the BC-style LFG system. And I remember people would just roast me for it. Like, I was the least popular person for suggesting that. And now, everybody agrees. It should always be available in that iteration. Well, if raid bosses are honestly lasting 10 to 30 seconds, then something has gone terribly wrong. Don't smooth out dungeon levels, just add more dungeons. Yeah, reputation. I'm just gonna jump down to other here. Encrypt all data to deter data mining. I don't care as long as it doesn't impact game performance. Add more GMs. Like this one, yeah, absolutely. I'm actually surprised 18 people downvoted this. Those 18 people run RMT groups. Oh wait, hold on. Those 18 people read real loud GDKP. You tried to sneak that in there, you son of a bitch. Designed for longevity, not seasonality. I agree. I think a Blizzard Classic Plus should be kind of the new default mode for WoW. For WoW Classic. They can continue to do seasonals or, like, rolling releases, like Anniversary and the original Classic if they want. But the current, like, Forever Classic should just be retired or just one-to-one converted over to Classic Plus. Like, this should be kind of the, you want to play Classic forever? Here you go, a version of Classic that literally will last forever with new content. No extended beta. Again, this is about data mining. I feel like people are asking Blizzard to solve a problem that is very much just, don't fucking look at Wowhead then, you dum-dum. 1 mega server. God, no. Already voted no on that. Challenge modes, yep. Hey, look, there's a server that we can't name. Someone named it here, though. Guild banks, absolutely. TBC added bags as quest rewards, and people like that. I'll admit, I kinda do too. Building quest tracker? No, because I don't use that shit. Hardcore servers? Yes. All gear and content should be relevant anytime, of course, depending on your role and level. No. Make nights dark again. Yeah, sure, why not? Guild perks, again, discussed it earlier, no. More weather, always good. I'll have both factions on the same server, absolutely. Add the barbershop, absolutely. Add a polling/voting system. I think that's literally what this site is. They just won't admit it. The bots. Yep, get rid of bots. Guild halls. No. No flying mounts ever. Yeah. Especially for the old world. There are some people who are like, add flying mounts to the old world. No, because I know how that shit was designed. It wasn't good. do layers like MapleStory. Announce nothing. All changes should be applied with no announcement or patch notes. No. Put the game on an entirely new engine. No. RuneScape can choose starting to play on each day. Cool, but that's not how the game is designed. A factionless server. No. Add official private server. I think this site might have gotten shared around on the Turtle WoW subreddit. Actual roleplay server with enforced RP. I don't like the enforced RP, but I don't like how that's getting downvoted, so I'll give it an upvote for that. Base world should be TBC Azeroth. No. Fascinating night cycles, I like that. Transport boats occasionally sink. No. Funny, but no. I'm surprised it wasn't a recommendation. I've seen housing recommendations pop up, and they're like minus 800. It's quite funny, actually. Alright, let's get to the actual fun stuff finally, huh? Let's do the player. Look, a whole different UI. Alright, so, rework racial abilities. Focusing on flavor, with things like traveler movement conveniences, profession bonuses. Move, or no, racials that affect combat performance are in a separate system chosen during character creation. I don't think you mess around with racials that much. I get that people are like, certain races are optimal for certain classes, but I feel like if you get rid of that, you turn race into basically just a cosmetic choice. And I guess that's not bad, but I don't know. I like the idea of there being, like the one person suggested with gear, a little bit of sub-optimality is what gives the game its flavor. And the fact that, yeah, sure, gnomes are the best mage, yeah, but then you have to play a gnome, I think is good. Because there's still tons of human mages running around as players. Like, there are players who will pick what looks cool over what is optimal. And I think if you're so mentally locked into optimality, that you're never going to be helped. Because if it's not racials, then you're going to be like, but I get an extra 2 intellect for picking gnome. It's still optimal. Like, if you want to play an unoptimal race, just play an unoptimal race. Stop treating the game like a min-maxing spreadsheet or a speed run, and just have fun. More character creation options. Yep. I'd like to see them just straight up import all of the character, like... I'd like to see them import just the fucking modern character models. Just fucking do it. Give us all the, like, character creation options that are in the current version of the game. Blood Elves should be neutral. No. God, no. Fuck no. Undead Paladin. This is the biggest thing APOC did right, and I would love to see that come to a Blizzard server. Like, I'm sad APOC crashed and burned as hard as it did, because I really wanted to play an Undead Paladin. Blizzard, give me the chance. Maybe I'll play you. Add new races. They suggest these 4. I mean, I upvoted it just because I think absolutely at some point you want to add new races. I think if Blizzard is looking at this over like a 4-year kind of content pipeline, and they're like, alright, we need 4 years worth of content. Like, if they're not saying 2 new races and a new class, I think they're nuts. at least 2 new races. They don't have to be... In fact, I don't want them to be the races that Turtle added. I don't want to see them just announce High Elves and Goblins. But I think if they don't, it starts to feel a little like, you know, they aren't putting the effort in. A bunch of fans could make it happen. You could make it happen. Oh, that's both factions get them. Never mind. Unlockable cosmetic options. That's already a thing in retail. It's been a thing for years. Go ahead. Give us different skin colors for doing quest lines. High Elves... See, I'd like to see them do High Elves and Ogres. That'd be fun. That'd be different. War Stomp shouldn't have a pushback while casting. So why not? High Elves and Goblins, I already downvoted that because that is literally just... It's just the Turtle WoW. It's just make Turtle WoW again. Forest Trolls and High Elves, again, that's another good one. Absolutely. Like, something that feels a little different. Not just High Elves and Goblins. Keep the weapon skill ratios, but actually expand on them, so there are more of them. Maybe. More human models. That'd be cool. I don't think it'd be like muscular, normal, and skinny. It would probably be like... Essentially, you know, like how the Cultirans are in current WoW. Again, add the modern player models. Add more interactables to the world. Absolutely. High Elves and Gilneans and Goblins and Ogres. That's all cool, I guess. Return AV to its original design. I don't know why this is in factions and not PvP. But I'm down for that. I like stupid ideas. Sub-races was a bad idea back before, and it's still a bad idea now. I don't know why this got downvoted into oblivion, but... Seems fine to me. Desires to level a monster race. Oh, just for a brief period of time. Okay, I don't like that. But yeah, sub-races. This was incredibly popular prior to the announcement of allied races, and I fucking hate it. This makes me so unrealistically angry. Because it's literally just skin color unlocks. Just unlock skin colors. You don't have to call them sub-races. Just be like, yeah, here's a quest to unlock green gnomes. Fuck you. Expanded use. This is something that I think is kind of cool. So after the allegations, Blizzard, in a rush to try and, like, garner some positive PR, implemented body types. I'm watching somebody, by the way, repeatedly leave and rejoin a call because I think they're have something broken. It's quite funny. But yeah, Blizzard, in a bid to try and recover from the damage of the allegations and the lawsuit and all that, changed the gender markers to be body types. And I'm totally fine with that. But I think they should go further. I actually kind of agree with this person. If you're calling them body type 1 and 2 now, why not add body type 3 and 4? Or 5? Why not have body types that are different by race? Like, maybe humans have a body type 3 that is, you know, the big Cultiran model. But maybe, you know... Yeah, maybe trolls have a body type 3 that's the old alpha model but cleaned up. Maybe orcs have a body type 3 that's, you know, half-orc. Like, I think that's kind of cool. I think that's actually a cool idea. I think that's an idea they should take on for the full version of the game, even. Sub-race categories. Again, I'm just downvoting sub-race nonsense on default. Optional toggle for retail character models. Yes. I think absolutely. It's overdue. Near racials across factions? No. Forsaken is a neutral, hostile to everybody. No. Just add the Draenei and Blood Elves back. No. Able cross-faction on PvE. I'm actually okay with that. Broken Draenei and High Elves. That's kind of cool. Goblins neutral. You know what? That's still better than the way... That's different from how Turtle did it. Racial knowledge. This was just the system from APOC. You could change your racials at max level by undertaking a quest. Yeah, now we're just kind of getting into, you know, a lot of third faction talk. Like, Scourge, neutral third faction, outlaw faction, third faction, switching allegiances. Like, yeah, now it's all, yeah, stuff and fluff. What's in the alliance category here? Anything? Human nations and heritage tablets. That's kind of cool. Or dwarven clans. That's kind of cool. Stormwind Peaks. I guess that is a new area, yeah. I mean, they put some thought into it. I'll give them that. I think it would need some cleanup, but they did put thought into it. Dwarf should have a mining racial, Night Elf should have a bow racial. Yeah. Gnomes have huge LOS issues. Stairs, small hills, rocks, anything over a foot tall, and all you hear a gnome say is, "I can't attack that!" Also the water in Mara. They can drown in it. Nice if gnomes didn't have to swim while everyone else walks. Yeah. Some of that's just don't pick a gnome. But I do think, like, the swimming thing is just don't pick a gnome. Like, that's your punishment for playing the worst race in the game. But also, like, LOS issues definitely need to be fixed where possible. Furballs for Alliance to start an Ashmist. I like that idea, actually. No Worgum, let anybody get the Worg. No. Horde, what do you guys think? Again, yeah, more clans. Add the option for planes running. Sure. Horde goblins. Downvoting that on principle because, again, I don't want this to just turn into Turtle. Elves that can be shamans. Well, that's something new and different. I mean, it'd be different from... Kind of like if it's different from Turtle, you know? I'm like, alright. If it's a race idea that's not just Blood Elves and Goblins, I'm for it. Reduce the hitbox size of Kodos, so that players don't constantly get stuck in doorways. Yes. I'm surprised it hasn't been done yet. Alright. Classes. We're not going to literally run down every goddamn class. We're just going to do, like, Hunter and new class. Respecs, reduce their cost, absolutely. Any class talent changes should be a light touch. Having classes excel in certain things and struggle in others makes them feel like your choice actually matters. There's plenty of room for class changes. While there's plenty of room for changes, general rework should be relatively minor, mostly quality of life, instead of newer modern spells. I disagree. I think absolutely go fucking crazy. But I think if you're going crazy, go crazy as a 4th spec. Other than, like, one example here, which is Survival Hunter. Fucking nuke Survival Hunter from orbit. It sucks. Get rid of it. Do anything else. Balance your tanks situationally. I don't I feel like you can go too far with that. More pets for hunters. I'll always say yes to more pets for hunters. Gnomes need a healer. They don't, but I think Gnome Priest is fucking funny, so you know what? Bring it back. Dual spec can only be changed to rest of zones or cities, if they add it. Abilities should have... Oh, yeah. Yeah, abilities that, like, literally their damage value does not scale should have damage scaling. Add in order halls. No. TBC talents. No. Yeah, now we're getting into, like, new classes that aren't even supposed to be in this category. Alright. Allow human hunters, yes. Allow undead hunters, yes. Add more stable slots, yes. Using traps in combat. No. I don't want more buttons to have to manage. More pet types, yes. Arcane Shot deals normal weapon damage in addition to bonus arcane damage. Alright. Mongoose Bite is modified, deal normal weapon damage in addition to bonus physical damage. Alright. I'm not going to click that link because I don't know where it's leading to, so I'm not going to vote, but I'm not going to downvote it. Remove the dead zone. Yes. Add a melee option for Hunter. Add a petless option for Hunter. Sure, sure. Allow hunters to modify their arrows. No. That sounds like way too much stuff to carry around. Pet survivability should be better, yes. Add rare and unique pets back into the game, yes. Remove mana. No. Fuck you. Get rid of melee weaving. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, alright, now we're getting to, yeah, just a lot of repeat stuff. Just out of curiosity. Melee hunter is a tank hunter. No. Just no. I do want to also poke the warlock. Yeah, because make Voidwalker Torment better, absolutely. Just curious how long it takes me to find somebody asking for Demon Hunter. Healer Warlock. Oh. Surprisingly, nobody asking for Metamorphosis, it looked like. It's probably over here. Yep, there it is. Metamorphosis! Good job, everyone. Alright, new class ideas. I'm gonna skip professions, by the way. I do not give enough of a fuck. I might check for, like, new profession ideas, but nothing more. No Monk, Demon Hunter, or Evoker. No. I think they could do Monk. I think they can do Demon Hunter. I think they probably can't do Evoker, though. That's a little too modern, just on a lore standpoint. But, like, just because they're adding it doesn't mean it's going to be one-to-one with how it was when it was first introduced to the game. Like, just because they add a Monk doesn't mean it's, you know, Mists-era Monk. Or a Demon Hunter is, you know, a Legion-era Demon Hunter. Like, they're going to be classicified either way. So, you know, why restrict yourself like that? By the way, the fact that, like, the number 3 thing is already going into the negatives tells you that, people don't want a new class, just period. Like, I think classes are where you get to, like, yeah, 1727, 2011, 5500, 4892, like, these are generally all very much controversial ideas. Like, there's not really enough of a, like, consistent idea for new classes in the zeitgeist right now, like there is for the idea of new races. I'm curious about this things from Warcraft 1, 2, 3. Look back at older games and bring features to existing classes. Okay, that's why. I don't know why this is under new class. I'm voting it for being in the wrong category. Fuck you. No category for new profession, so I'm just gonna upvote that and move on. To the world map. Showing currently what are the 50 most popular requests for the world. Obviously, I don't think they're adding 3 raids to Quel'The the Lost, so yeah, top 50 most requested isn't necessarily, like, all guaranteed things that would happen. I've looked over most of these already, so you're gonna see I have, like, votes on most of these already. But we're gonna take a little journey here. What time is it? 35? Yeah. We'll take a journey through the world map here. So yeah, like, a lot of this is just stuff like, you know, complete this unused quest for Gnarlpine Fangs. Somebody wants to put a dungeon in the tree. God, no. Someone wants, you know, make Teldrassil look like an actual tree. While cool, I don't think the technology exists to do that without turning it into just a static PNG like they did in Battle for Azeroth. Darnassus is hard to navigate. Minus 191. If you're not doing Cataclysm, still include a storyline explaining Staghelm being a traitor. That's a cool idea. More mailboxes and add an actual forge to the damn city. This one's in every city. Add the world buffs. When a world buff pops, it pops in every capital. Put a fishing trainer in the fucking Night Elf city. Quest up in the Hidden Path Cave. Eh, why not? Like Moonglade. Actually, is that still one of the top 50? Yeah. An Emerald Nightmare raid is absolutely one of those things that people really want. Like, if we're talking like raids people clearly want, it's like Suleiman, something involving the Blood Elves, whether that be Silvermoon City or the Sunwell, Grim Batal, the Dark Portal, a pirate. Remember I said earlier in this that watch for pirates, they're gonna come back? There's a whole metric shit ton of stuff on this map about pirates. This is the only thing that made it into the top 50 is a Bloodsail, like, raid. But, like, there's pirate stuff. If there's a coastline, there's probably a recommendation about adding pirate content. And then an Uldum raid. Which, hey, look at that. You got, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, 6... Like, 6 new raids? That's pretty... That's, you know, 6 raids, 6 phases? That's pretty good there. Good job, everybody. You know, maybe you end up cutting, you know, Bloodsail raid to make it either the Bloodsail raid or the Dark Portal raid, one of the two. Obviously, pick only one of the Northern Quel'The the Lost raids. But there you go. You know, good job, everybody. You got a pretty solid number of raids right into the top 50. Put a dungeon in Northern Darkshore. It's funny, because actually they put that right where the copy of the Black Fathom Deeps instance entrance is, which is quite funny to me. I guess, you know, put the entrance there. I don't know what it would be still, but Open a path up to the Shatter Spear trolls. Yeah, why not? Right? Put a few more quests in Darkshore. Yes. Folks want a boat to Feralus and Aberdeen. I don't like that. Well, I do see why someone might want that for being a cheap fuck. I think, you know, I think that third dock is better serviced if they add, you know, new content somewhere. Which, by the way, this is apparently a place you can place content for other/unspecified. Expand the Veiled and Forbidding Sea. See, that's what you'd want to use that third dock for. Access that content. Expand the Grove of the Ancients. This is another very popular one. I think it was in the top 50 earlier today. Is it still? Yeah. Blackfathom Deep's quests are inconvenient. Just, like, adding more spawns into the dungeon. Also, like, putting more, like, satyr lore in the big fucking satyr area here. Ashenvale feels too horde contested. There should be roaming elites on the road. No. Unfortunately, that's kind of the consequence you just have to deal with because of Blackfathom Deeps being where it is. It could have been even worse. If you wanted a hell scenario, imagine if they had kept the instance portal up here. And now, all of Darkshore is also considered contested territory because Horde have to get to that dungeon. Smaller scale version of Battle for Ashenvale. Was apparently immensely popular, so sure, why not? Fix the loot drops in BFD. Usually need to do the dungeon twice. Okay, yeah, that's the same as the other one that was right next to it. BFD quests are inconvenient. The map isn't entirely accurate. I mean, I guess up in here there's an issue about that. I assume, like, right up here, it looks like you could pass up, but you can't. I mean, yeah, if there's an issue with the map, absolutely, fix the map. Felwood, people really want a dungeon in Jadenar here. Like, it's one of the top 50 requests. Okay, there is somebody who is going around, and everywhere that there is a mountain between zones, they're like, put a cave that connects these two zones together, please. No, not every fucking zone needs to be connected. I have been downvoting these as I see them. You want to see something stupid? Every single one of these in northern Mulgore is a fucking add in a fucking cave that connects to the neighboring zone. No. Stop it. Get some help. Add a new zone along the shoreline. 2 different people have requested that, by the way. And add a Tuskar zone in the north. That's kind of cool. I like that. I mean, I'm not going to say no to adding more zones. Like, adding a new zone up here, I'm not going to say no to that. Kidding me? I like zones. Hyjal. Everybody has their fucking Hyjal idea. They're all just posted up here. It's quite funny. Keep Archimonde's dead carcass. Yeah. I agree with that. Make his, like, ghost a world boss. That's kind of cool. One of the... Is that still in the top 50? People want a dungeon in, like, the ruins here. I like doing the Timbermaw one, because there's old files for it. Restoring Ajara Crater, that's another popular one. That's cool. This one specifically says turn it into an event like Plunder Storm, instead of the, MOBA it was meant to be. That's cool. And add in, you know, the finishing to the quest for the shipwrecked sailors. There's a YouTube video about that, so, you know, that makes sense. Is Orgrimmar Dock still in top 50? No, that did fall off. That was a top 50 earlier today. People were like, add docks to Orgrimmar. Also, someone wants Cataclysm Orgrimmar back. No. It sucks. Ads are starting soon, so we'll just kind of go through some of these zones while we're doing it. Add loot tables to some of the bosses in RFC. There's too many RF dungeons. Somebody wants a quest that specifically has you go and kill the enemy faction leaders, and I think that's the coolest fucking idea. I love that. Absolutely. Someone wants Thrall killed. No. Here's the pastures running underneath Theratar. I think that's just RFC. I think that's just RFC, buddy. Again, goblins. I'm actually going to switch that to a downvote, because my opinion now is nothing that implies that they just redo High Elves and Goblins from Turtle. New starting area for Trolls. Revamp the Barrens. No. Barrens is like the most identifiable fucking part of... Unlockable flight point, by the way, up here. No. That's ridiculous. Someone wants Cataclysm Barrens. No. This person wants Mancrick's wife moved about 70 meters west underneath a bush. Which would be fucking hilarious. I upvoted it. Again, Bloodsail Camp, neutral quest hub, and a boat to wetlands. Again, if there's a coastline, somebody has recommended putting pirates there. More quests for the Razorfen dungeons, absolutely. Here's the fucking transport stuff that we were talking about earlier that's just Arcage. This person put them all over the map as well. Finish the Shady Rest Inn. A lot of people requested various ideas with raids, and I just kind of started downvoting ones that didn't seem fun. Turn Thereborn into a reputation. I actually like that idea. Like, they're supposed to be, like, theoretically only loosely Alliance, so why are we pretending like they're just Stormwind, right? Update Theramore, yep. It's basically just the fucking scenario for MoP. No. Alcaz Island, which by the way is its own fucking thing. Finish the missing diplomat. Yes. Somebody put a thing in Stormwind as well about that. What is this out in the middle of the ocean? Magistrate's Temple. Based on the Warcraft 3 Vexor. Okay. I can live with that. Add a little more High Elf stuff, sure. You could use it as like a springboard into adding them. Add more content in the south there. Yeah, sure. What is this? Oh yeah, add Telebim. I appreciate that everybody is like, I didn't notice there was an other unspecified category sitting on the Maelstrom. Bring back Mudsprocket. Yep. I'm just kind of going through some of my favorite zones here. Nobody has suggested fucking anything for 1,000 needles. Oh, wait, never mind. Yes, they did. It's fixed. Somebody was high when they wrote this. A lot of people are like, you know, put a flight path in the Shimmering Flats. I don't think you need to. There's a flight path literally in Gadget Sand. Some of you people need to just learn how to walk. We don't need 5 flight points in every zone. A lot of people want, like, you know, actual racing at the flats. That's cool. Unused real estate. Spelled wrong, but I appreciate the effort on the naming. You know, add some more content. That's always cool. Like, where there's giant masses of mountains, people saying put content here, I'm never going to necessarily dislike it. Like a quest hub in the Eastern Heights. Put pirates there. Operation Floodline. You'll never guess. It's more fucking pirates! It's not even a fucking coastline and they still said put pirates there. Everybody's like, put a boat. There's literally 4 different fucking people that put a pin down for put a boat to Booty Bay here. I love you people. I hate all of you. Pirates Bay. I love this one. This is my favorite pirate suggestion just because it's called Pirates Bay. Bloodsail Port, a quest hub and flight path for the Buccaneers. Harrison Jones. No, on principle. Fuck Harrison Jones. He was the worst thing they added to this game. There's the Bloodsail Raid. It's like, do you want pirates? Because it seems like the classic WoW player base really fucking wants pirates. Uldum. Yeah, everybody's... Generally, I think adding in, like, Neferset and the Tol'Vir, everyone's like, nah, let's not do that again. Like, people generally want to really lean to the Titan stuff, which I think is cool, considering Uldum is first teased, you know, by the Discs of Norgannon. Have them actually open Uldum as a new zone. There you go. Actually enters into, like, the southern part of the zone here. Also, Encourage, at least one person suggested make it a zone instead of a dungeon. Everybody hates that person now. They also suggest adding in a new zone that unlocks after you beat Cthulhu. I don't like that because that makes AQ far too mandatory for my taste. Add teleport before killing the twins. For when you die. I guess. So what's going on here? Painted Rock Mountains. New zone. Connected to Camp Mojashe. I don't know if I like that idea. Expand the Torin Farm settlement. And add stuff into the cave here. This seems to want to flesh out Classic Plus as an extension of current canon as snapshots of the current lore. Like, I guess? But ultimately then, you know, it's the full-size original Uldum down there then, you know? Like, I don't think you can flesh out the current lore without just turning it into the current game, you know? Like, if you're going to alternate universe this, if you're gonna make something that's actually distinctly classic and not just distinctly retail, you have to do something. You have to do some things that truly break the mold. Even if the lore to that point is the same. Other unspecified. Wow, look at this hodgepodge of shit. Pre-Draenei Azure Mist or Blood Mist. I like that idea. Explore those zones before the Draenei showed up. Saltwind Skirmish. It's fucking pirates! God damn it, I need a fucking... If I'm gonna make a whole bit out of this, which I'm considering doing, like, I need a thing for, like, it's always pirates. Add Undermine. No, because I saw with... I've seen, like, I guess they did it in War Within. It looks awful. Ogrezonia. Fuck that. Call it anything other than Ogrezonia. Improve flight points. Flight points are fucky for a reason. It's because they're trying to avoid unfinished areas. This is basically akin to saying we want flying mounts. Like, that's the amount of work you would need to make it happen. Add a vanilla version of Northrend. I actually kind of like that, other than the fact that it would be level 60. I think if you are adding something on the scale of Northrend, it has to be a new expansion. It has to have a level cap increase. Because there's just too much land in Northrend for it to be, like, just all constrained to level 60. That's my opinion. A dynamically moving Dalaran. That sounds painful, honestly. Add the Maelstrom. Holy shit, you wrote a novel. Add Telebem. Put the Elemental Lords, you know, the other Elemental Lords in. Add Baelor. Add more raid opening world events. Add Kultirus's... See, Northrend, I think you need a level cap increase. I think you can shrink Kultirus and Zandalar while still keeping their distinctive biomes. And turn them into singular level 60 zones. That's why this gets an upvote, but this got a downvote. Add the Thalassian Highlands. I fucking like that idea, just as long as it's not the starting area for High Elves. This person says 30 to 40. Add Undermine. Increase lore consistency. Like, I don't think you have to be consistent with retail's lore. I think you should be willing to blaze your own path here. Add Northern Islands. Sure. Use unreleased assets for future content. I mean, yeah, it's free. Like, yeah. Island of Dr. Lepetis, Gilligam's Island, the Emerald Dream, Old Ironforge, you know? Timbermaw Hold. The alpha version of Scarlet Monastery, the Karazhan Crypt, Skilneus. Yeah, absolutely. Add all that. Like, where there's unfinished content in Classic should be the immediate, like, when they are making this, essentially the first thing they should do is try to add as much polish as possible to what's already there. That's what they should focus on for release. After release, then, they should focus on, you know, using the unfinished content. Stuff like Hyjal. Stuff like, you know, well, it's really just Hyjal. And, you know, some assets like the big Nautilus dungeon model, you know, old alpha stuff that they could potentially recover. Like, yeah, then that's the next thing. And then after that, then you move into creating whole new content. Alright. So yeah, add the South Sea Isles. That's there as well, because people didn't realize this was a selectable. Is it selectable? Yeah, other unspecified. For the record, the map only shows the top 25. Some of these do, in fact, have more than 25 recommendations. over here is a tick for Gilligems. But yeah, you know, folks want a new dungeon down in... That's actually, that wasn't there earlier today. That just entered the top 50 today. The ability to wager on duels at the arena. More boats. I'll zoom in here just so you can see. More pirates. Yep, you guessed it. More pirates. Over in Westfall? Well, surprisingly no pirates, but there is a fucking Defias raid someone wants. Over in here, you know, it actually gets covered up here, but there are actually two things in Karazhan that are both in the top 50. Both the raid version and the crypts. And also, adding the Dark Riders as world bosses. That's kind of cool. Eastern Blasted Lands. Nobody has any kind of consistent answer for the Eastern Blasted Lands. It seems to me like this is something where nobody has, like, a firm idea what they'd want to do with it. Same goes for up here, where, like... Whoop. Well, alright. But yeah, there's, like, some people want it to look like more of the Searing Gorge and Burning Steppes. Other people want it to be like Turtles' Northwind Dale, where it's all autumny. Like, nobody agrees on what to do with this. One person wants to just fucking flood it and turn it into a bunch of islands. You create Kazakh does Stormwind. No, because Horde gets screwed in that scenario. Oh, wow. A lot of new ones here. Hail of the King. That's the other one that's, you know, about finishing the Alkaz storyline. Add the Brawlers Guild. Stormwind has a lot of closed buildings. Open them up for roleplay. Fuck yeah, on principle. Add a prison raid. Add the port. Which meshes with a request up here for a boat that runs from South Shore down to Menethil, which would replace then the old boat that goes to Kalimdor, because the Kalimdor boat would now go to Stormwind. An Alliance quest hub in the Badlands is for some reason very popular. I don't get why. Just walk from Loch Modan. Again, we don't need 50 million flight points everywhere. I do like the airport being accessible, though. A lot of activity up around here. Folks are like, you know, make a dungeon out of the Stone Rock Dam. This person's like, put ogres or high elves in Loch Modan. No. Put a hunter trainer at the lodge. You know what? Sure. That's just for flavor. Wetlands, obviously, everything is centered around, you know, fleshing out Grimbatal. Some folks want a subzone, some folks want a raid, some folks want a dungeon. Add more Red Dragon stuff to go with it. Open the gates of Ironforge. No, not every zone needs to be connected. But I do think, yeah, put some content up there in the farms, you know? Expand the docks. I don't think you need to expand the docks if you're building a Stormwind Harbor. Twilight Highlands, people are very much debating between just... Well, okay, one person wants to fucking put Void Elves here. Don't put Void Elves here, that's dumb. But people are, like, debating between making it, like, super Twilight's Hammery, where it's just the fucking version from Cataclysm pasted here, or making it actually, like, the classic version of itself. Or even putting Red Dragons up here. Again, folks really want to expand on, like, the coastal farms and shit. This person wants to turn South Shore into a whole-ass port. I don't think you put that there. I think you put that, in Menethil, within South Shore being connected to Menethil. Add Caverns of Time Durnhold. I'm fine with that. Expand on Ravenhold. Yep. Everybody wants to fucking open up Dalaran as like a neutral capital city. Some people want to put fucking the battlegrounds in the open world. Don't do that. Especially because this area wants to just remove Alterac entirely and replace it with AV. Again, not every fucking zone needs to be connected. Scarlet Outhouse is a fucking joke. Mad that's here. Finishing the Ashbringer quest line, absolutely. Very popular one is to turn this into a mining area, but I actually want them to stick with the canon lore of, like, Tears Fall being there. Like, that just seems like it gives more potential. An Alliance-only raid? No. Making Undercity... I don't get the obsession players have with moving Undercity Zeppelins inside the city. Because Orgrimmars are not inside the city either, do they realize? Like, you have to spend 5 minutes outside of a city not in trade chat. You'll survive. Jesus fucking Christ. There's already an ala stock... Well, I guess they do specify RFC, but... I don't like doing too many faction-specific dungeons, and a lot of people want to recommend faction-specific dungeons. An Alliance boat near Scarlet Monastery. No, by the time you're in your 30s, you should be able to fucking walk here. Suck it up, buddy. Gilneas. There's no real recommendations of what to put here other than just putting something here. Small occasions to connect the lower stairs of pirates. Interesting. Okay. $35 to $45 connected to EPL. Somebody doesn't understand level ranges. Putting in Asherus. Sure. Add the Scarlet Enclave back, but as a dungeon. I don't know what the story here is, but I see it's in tribute to a late somebody, so you know what? Go off. Make Mr. Bigglesworth the final boss of Dax. Only 23 people upvoted it. Rework Dax. Everybody hates it too. Love to see it. Finish Northern Lordaeron and Stratholme. Absolutely. As a High Elf starting zone, however, that's just what Turtle did. Downvote on principle. Add the Thalassian Pass. Absolutely, if you're going to add. Well, Thalas. Someone suggests adding the Dragon Isles, but in a classic version. A dungeon version of Deathholm, which sounds fun. Relive the Scourge Invasion, no. Add High Elves. Zulaman. A different version of Zulaman. Magister's Terrace. Sunwell, yeah, alright. And I think that kind of runs through at least the relevant stuff for right now. Like, we could run through, like, every zone with a fine-tooth comb, but we've been here 2 hours now. Overall, I really like this. Like, I'm actually tempted to go through and, like, make some content of my own to recommend, especially on the world map. Like, as far as races and classes and all that go, you know, we all know the story. It's gonna be, you know, they'll eventually add 2 new races. Nobody will agree on a new class, so eventually they'll add something and everyone will hate it because it'll be OP. That's how this story goes, you know? But yeah, I think it could be neat to kind of come up with some stuff as well to add on here. You know, maybe some of it'll make the top 50. I assume, like, the top 50 here is, like, what Blizzard is really gonna look at and be like, alright, well, let's see, players really want Hydrall, alright, players really want an Emerald Dream Raid, right? Players want more fucking pirate content, alright. There's a ton of interest in Quell the Loss, including possibly for playable High Elves. We will make that happen very quickly after release. Like, I think it's all just kind of generally very neat. And then, you know, there's the other content as well, you know? I really hope that this is in fact a plant from Blizzard. That this is their way of kind of getting community feedback on ideas for a Classic Plus project being announced tomorrow. I really hope that's true. I hope this doesn't end up becoming just, you know, a phantom project that, you know, some Classic Plus server ends up latching onto and making a bunch of this content, and then, you know, disappearing after 6 months because they got sued into the ground. Like, I would love to see a truly, like, robust Classic Plus experience. As, like, a real... It's, like, kind of the final form of Classic. I think old school RuneScape was always kind of the inevitable final form. And something like this, through an official channel, I think is the exact kind of thing that might be able to get me to play Classic WoW again, maybe? We'll see. We'll get our answers tomorrow, whether this is all for something, or if this is all just, you know, some streamers trying to content farm. Like me. In content farm. Have you seen the thumbnail I spent 30 minutes making for this? It's bullshit. But it's great. And with that, it's time we get on out of here. That's a funny quote to have up there for this one. A little bit of an oddball stream, but I'm like, you know, if Classic Plus isn't announced tomorrow, this iron goes from white hot to ice cold, so, you know, gotta strike the content mines while the iron is hot. That's what we did today. Friday we'll be doing actual gaming in the form of Digimon Story Time Stranger, where, you know, we have to stop an apocalypse in the human world. Typical stuff. I'm sure it won't be the first time. Or, well, it is the first time. I'm sure it won't be the last time we have to do it in this game. And Monday Legends EA, where, well, we're rank grinding on Monday for story purposes. Have fun with that. And next week, Wednesday, we'll go back to our normal randomizer stuff, I swear. One-time deal, because, you know, content mines wait for no one. So, I think people have figured out their Discord stuff. I'm going to go see what they're up to and not voice act anything tonight, I swear, for those of you who know what that means. Bye.